Hello and welcome.
Okay, great. Welcome back to the show. We have Josh Ritchie with us. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great.
And it was your dad that actually had told me about you and your website and your music, and I checked it out. And really, really awesome music.
Thank you.
Really love the energy and really love what you're doing. And you have a new release coming out as well. Maybe... We'll start with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So my second album, Love at the End of the World, is coming out September 30th. And I'll be doing a couple launch shows, one up locally in Owen Sound at Heartwood Concert Hall, and then one down here in the city in Toronto at Lee's Palace, which I'm really excited for.
Oh, awesome. Lee's Palace. I haven't been there in years. Actually, I played the show, probably the last time I was there. It was 2011. It was a long time, like 10 years ago. Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Lee's Palace, great venue. And is anyone on the bill with you?
Yes. Okay? Yeah. Stephen James Orr, a friend of mine who booked me for like a live stream thing he was doing earlier on in the summer.
Okay.
And I called him up. He's a great like indie rock, soulful guitar player.
Right.
So I'm really excited to share the stage with him.
Great.
It'll be pretty sweet.
And then the venue in Owen Sound is Heartwood.
Heartwood Hall, yeah.
Heartwood Hall, okay.
Yeah.
And that's located downtown. I remember seeing it somewhere.
Yeah, downtown. There's like a store underneath, and then upstairs is like a really great like little concert hall bar thing. It's got a great little vibe in there.
And it seems like there's always something happening in Owen Sound. Again, due to the COVID, I haven't been up there much, but we played a couple of shows there over the years, and I've often seen various festivals and events there.
Yeah.
So is it a music sort of arty town, Owen Sound?
Yeah, it's pretty musical. It's pretty artistic all around. We've got a great little artist co-op. I know. I don't go in there as much as I'd like, especially in COVID. Right. So, but yeah, lots of music, lots of musicians, lots of events and concerts happening. I know. Right before my show, there's a John Prine tribute show going on in there.
Oh wow! Okay, great.
That's already sold out, and that'll be pretty cool.
That's great. Awesome. So, how big is roughly that venue? Just out of curiosity.
Not sure how many it seats in normal times, like 150-ish.
So that's pretty good. That's pretty good size. Well, okay, right.
I think with COVID restrictions, it can do like 70-ish or something around there.
Because of
the distancing and everything.
Right. And were there a lot of businesses and venues doing outdoor music in Owen Sound this past summer, or?
Not too many there was lots of outdoor music, but lots of like just town square kind of things, portable stages.
Right.
There was Summer Folk, the big festival in Owen Sound, that was a little different this year. I was lucky enough to be a part of it this year.
Oh, great.
But it was a little different, like a bunch of different stages and some were backyards, people's backyards, some were the normal venues, but everyone was kind of split up and to keep,
I guess, crowd sizes
exactly.
Down.
Yeah.
Okay, great. But that was, I guess, sort of a new way to kind of keep the festival going rather than cancel it.
Yeah, it was good that they had it and kept it going, and because I've been going to that festival since I was a fetus, so it was nice to have it back up and running again.
Right. Because you were born in Toronto, but then your family moved to Wyerton, Ontario.
Yeah, when I was about 1-ish.
Right. And Wyerton, for those that don't know, it's close to Owen Sound?
Yeah, close to Owen Sound, close to Sauble Beach, if that's something people know.
That's right.
Yeah, Tobermory, that region. Yeah.
That's where people would catch the ferry to go to Manitoulin Island.
Exactly, yeah. There's a nice grotto up there, too.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. We know people that went there, the grotto. Remember, they were telling us about that. That'll be for another story, though, when it gets more adult. So this isn't obviously your first release. You released something a couple of years ago as well?
Yeah, 2019, my first album, Louder. I released that, self-produced thing.
Okay.
And that was fun for a few months, and then the world ended. So
Right.
Time to just pick up where I left off, kind of.
So did you already have plans to tour and live shows before, COVID sort of put the kibosh on everything?
Yeah, there was a good-sized summer tour about in some festivals and some venues about Ontario and stuff, but that all kind of I only held on to like one or two of those, I think, from venues closing or changing owners or just everything kind of got messed up. But I wasn't the only one though. But,
no, it affected everyone for sure. Did you get into live streaming at all to try to make up or keep those audiences or build audiences?
Not really. I'm pretty loud for live streaming.
Right. Okay.
It would. Yeah, my neighbors wouldn't have liked that too much.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
So that's how you would describe your music to someone who's trying to book you. Would you describe your music as high energetic and loud?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, lots of just kind of like, I think of it as like just an ode to the stuff that I grew up listening to, which was not very common for someone my age. It's like classic 60s, 70s, 80s rock. U2 is a big influence of mine. Queen, Elton John, Fleetwood Mac. Those kind of like any artful rock band, I think, is kind of my vibe.
Right. Because that's sort of rare. Because a lot of people I talk to that are, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 22.
Okay, so a lot of people, they don't really look to those artists as being influences, because they sort of have newer influences within the last couple of decades. But it's good to see these sort of artists, like you said, like U2 and such, that are kind of not just big successful artists and sold millions of records, but they're also great songsmiths, in my opinion, as
definitely,
well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to learn, I think, from listening to these past, we'll call them masters, if we will. Yeah. Because I read somewhere in your bio, too, even today, U2 is still listed as an influence.
Oh yeah, definitely. They were like, they kind of got me into being a performing artist. I was always kind of musical, just because like come from a family of musicians, so instruments were about. Right. And that was just kind of my hobby always growing up, and I would like procrastinate from doing homework and pick up a guitar, or like I didn't want to go to school, so I'd stay home and play piano or something. Right. And then, but it was always just kind of a hobby until I went to it. My mom took me to a U2 concert, the Joshua Tree tour here in Owen Sound, as like a grade 12 graduation present. And then that was just such a, like, we were right in front of the stage, and we could have touched them if we were allowed. Right. And that just kind of was like, that was a really eye-opening moment that like, I want to do something like this.
Something like that, right? Yeah. Right. But they do everything on such a grand, huge sort of scale. Yeah. And is that kind of, I guess, trajectory for what you'd like to do one day? I mean, given, of course, budget and the venue, of course. Yeah,
definitely. I really like to like craft a show. Okay. And not just like play my songs, but like I like to think about the order they're like I'm playing them in, and like even down to like the sounds that I'm using, which sometimes are a little bit different live to recording, and just make it as an immersive experience as possible for listeners.
So kind of like with U2, it's sort of this sort of multimedia sort of experience. You get, of course, the music, and you also have some sort of visual sort of thing. Yeah,
projectors and light shows. Not in the budget right now.
Okay. But, well, you got to start somewhere. One day. That's right. Yeah. And then even to the point where they had certain costumes or their stage, we'll say, clothes. Yeah. They had different personas as well as part of the band. Yeah. Which was great. I remember seeing Zoo TV tour back in 1991, I think it was, or was it 90 or 91? I don't know. It was somewhere back then. I'm talking to the audience camera like they can hear me. But, it was someone can fact check me. It was back then, but I've seen them several times after that, and I've always been impressed with sort of the shows. But it'd also be great to see them sort of stripped down.
Yeah, that would be. Like, I've seen them on the internet a couple times, just doing some acoustic-y stuff. Right. Or there's this great video of Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, with this choir in Harlem. Right. And it's just like acoustic guitars and like conga and stuff. And that's right. And it was that's...
Was that I think that was from the film Rattle and Hum.
I think so, yeah.
Right. That came out in the 90s as well. I'll look that up at some point. So your background, you come from a musical family. Your dad is in a band, same with your uncle.
Yeah, and my grandma was a music teacher. Oh. And I believe her mom was also a music teacher. Okay. So, it was... music theory was just dinner table talk.
So it was destiny, you would say.
I guess so, yeah.
At any point in your life you wanted to become an investment banker or a lawyer?
Not really. There was a time when I wanted to be a soccer player.
Okay. Soccer,
yeah. Yeah, not really.
No.
Numbers past 4 are really my forte.
I see. So I guess with growing up sort of in this musical family, like you knew right from like age 6 you wanted to do music, or other than of course the soccer sort of.
It kind of went like there was definitely music at first, and me and my cousin we started this like band when we were like 6 or 7, and we called them Tanglefoot and Training, and that was the band that my dad was in. Right. And yeah, we just kind of like covered their songs like in his basement poorly, just the two of us.
The two, okay.
So that was the trajectory at first, but then when I was like 10-ish, I started playing soccer, and I was kind of good at it, and then I was all about soccer for a little while until I got hurt, and then that
ended your career.
Yeah, and I got my first part-time job too around that same time, so I was making some money and buying guitars. So,
where did you work, just out of curiosity?
A little restaurant in Wyerton called the Green Door Cafe. That's still kicking these days. Great. I was washing dishes and serving tables, and
you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But you bought some. You said you used the money to buy some guitars.
Yeah, my very first Epiphone Casino. Was
great.
My very first.
Right.
Electric guitar, and followed by effects pedals and amps, and just I could spend all day just playing.
And are you
sounds.
big on effects pedals and stuff? Especially, I mean, if your influence is U2, the Edge has quite an array of effects that he uses.
Yeah, I haven't quite gone that far down the rabbit hole.
Right.
But I'm definitely on that path. I've got it's bad. It's always growing. It's I have like 3 different versions of my pedal boards, like depending on what size gig I'm doing.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but effects pedals are.
So I guess what's your typical rig? Like when you go, for example, your show at Lee's Palace. What's going to be your guitar rig? So
I'll have my 3 electric guitars: a Casino, a Strat, and a Les Paul. And then I do a wet dry amp system with a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe and a Vox AC-15.
Oh, sweet.
And run those together. And I think it's my Vox that gets the wet.
Right.
And then my effects, my full board will be there. So I've got it's mostly drives. Like classics like Tube Screamers and Clons and Blues Breakers and just a bunch of different flavors. That I mix and match all the time, and I never like to use the same sound twice.
Oh, really?
Even when it's like there are some things like I also never like to solo the same way twice unless it's like a written solo. Then it will get the same sound. But if I'm improvising, I'll kind of see what I'm feeling in the moment.
I see.
And just kind of I like to let my shows be live too.
Right. This way, it doesn't seem like it's such a. I mean, you're preparing a set, but it doesn't seem so prepared that you're following this sort of, recipe for every show. Are you, or no?
I don't want it to sound scripted or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Like even between songs, your banter is different, or do you have a song that you introduce the same time every time?
No, it's always off the cuff, and sometimes to my detriment. There was once I was really sick at a show once, and I was on a lot of cough medicine to make it through the show, but I was a little loopy, and I was like introducing the song and like, this is my new song. It's in the key of A, and I don't know what else to say about it. I'm just gonna play it now. Like it was kind of funny, but not as polished as I would have liked.
I see. Okay. Because there's a song that I have a couple of songs where I introduce the story because that's kind of sets up the song, and I'm sure my band's already. They've heard it like 10 million times. They don't want to hear it again. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm not going to say the story again, guys. You'll hear it soon enough when we play live again. Great. So what are you using for a delay pedal, just out of curiosity?
It is, what is it? The Empress tape delay.
Oh, okay,
now. Great. Yeah, and I just leave it on all the time and just change the time. If it's like for a more like raucous song, it's just quick slap and then no delay, just no delay, no reverb, that slap delay. And then like for more ambient stuff, I'll make it more washy and add some verb. Sometimes there's been a shimmer reverb I've been playing with a little bit recently, and that's little bit too much fun.
Okay,
Get a little carried away
nice.
with that one
Great.
sometimes.
And that shimmer verb comes from a pedal too?
Yeah, from
okay.
the Hall of Fame 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many pedals do you have on the go right now in your
I think
collection?
there's... Oh, in my collection, there's
your
quite
collection.
a few,
Okay, okay.
like upwards of 25.
Okay. I see. All right.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I recently actually started testing out pedals for a guy in Ottawa, Russell Gowdy, who builds them.
Oh, okay.
And I bought his Blues Breaker a couple of years ago and just loved it. But it went down on me, and I emailed him, and I was just like, can you fix this for me? And he was like, absolutely. And he's like, by the way, I've got all these new prototypes. You want to try them? And I was like,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, I do.
And he's got a website too?
Yeah, Russell, GowdyFX.com.
Okay, we'll post the link
and
later in the... yeah.
Some
That's
really great
I'll have to
stuff.
check that out. Based
Yeah.
out of Ottawa.
Yeah, I believe so,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, I like some of these boutique pedals because they're very, unique. Sometimes sound and tone that you don't find from the big manufacturers.
Yeah. And it's a little different, too. You get your own kind of sounds out of them, too.
That's right. And it's good to support local people that are making products. So you're always traveling then with 2 amps for this rig, or no?
No.
Just for big shows?
I wish, yeah.
Okay. All right.
No, not right now. Usually it's just one reluctant that the sound man's always telling me to turn down. But
They always turn guitarists, right.
Yeah. But yeah, if I have to pick one, it's the Vox.
The Vox, yeah.
Yeah.
It's my favorite amp. As you can see, I own too many Vox amps.
Yeah.
There's
I
a whole
don't think
bunch
you
all
can
over
own
the
too
place
many.
here.
Yeah, they're great.
I just fell in love with the sound again, mainly because of you too.
Yeah,
I dig the sound the Edge had.
Yeah,
I know he has a variety of different amps that he uses as well. But it's totally one of my faves for sure.
Definitely.
So how many people are in the band? You play with a full band then?
A trio, kind of an unorthodox trio of keys, guitar, and drums.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So
kind of like the Doors.
Yeah,
in that
kind of,
regard, okay.
The keys are my low end. My dad is my keyboard player at the moment.
Oh,
and
awesome. That's great.
Yeah, so
that's great.
And our drummer Beaker Granger is it's just the 3 of us, and
great.
We fill out the sound as best we can with just the 3 of us.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's cool to have like the keyboard being the low end instead of a bass, because you can get some just some cooler different,
sort of things.
different
That's
stuff.
right.
Yeah,
exactly. It's more. It also can be more psychedelic. In some
totally.
Sort of ways.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah. A nice there's lots more sustain for me to like solo over, and like
that's right.
Lots of we just got this the Strymon Lex what's it called, the Leslie pedal, so we get some nice growly organ
so it's like the
sounds.
Leslie cabinet,
basically.
That's
been a lot of fun to play with too.
Yeah, because there's nothing beats like the spinning speaker on a Leslie cabinet. That really adds to the whole sound of the B3. It adds that sort of unique sort of flavor that you hear in various recordings.
Yeah, and it's really nice to. It's a nice layer to like do leads and vocals.
Okay,
over.
right.
Yeah.
And it's probably easier to carry the little pedal than a real Leslie cabinet, which weighs like heavier than a black hole. So what are some of the, I guess, subject matter that you're writing about in your songs?
Yeah, so 3 of the songs on this album were already released as an EP a few months ago. And those 3 all deal with Black Lives Matter stuff.
Right.
I am a biracial person. My mom is black, and we live in a rural area, so that's always kind of touch and go.
Right.
But yeah, so last summer, right around the George Floyd stuff, we were lucky enough to help organize a Black Lives Matter march in our little town of Wyerton.
Right. And
it went really well. Like, we had a great turnout, and nothing that you wouldn't want to happen happened.
Sure.
So yeah, and just from that experience, I kind of wrote a couple of songs about it and covered one of my dad's songs, Buxton, from his Tanglefoot days.
Oh, great.
And yeah, so that became a little EP of sort of just like my ongoing promise to keep in that world of like of social activism a little bit.
Right.
And then there are kind of similar themes along that line in the album, but they branch out further than just Black Lives Matter stuff. It deals a lot with like being a young person in this world and kind of inheriting a lot of the problems that have been made by past generations.
Yes.
And just sort of unpacking that a little bit. The song I'm going to perform a little bit later, If I Gave You the World, is just an acoustic little folky ditty, actually, that just sort of deals with that and just like the weight of knowing that it's our turn now and we have to do a little bit better job.
It seems like that's always happening. I mean, I remember when I was your age as well, it felt like we were being handed, I don't know, the torch to kind of carry on. And earlier, I think in my days, I wrote a lot of music that was more politically motivated and about social issues. Only because I just couldn't write songs about, falling in love and going on a date and who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
There's already 100 songs like that. If you turn on the radio right now, they don't need another one. Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's good that your music does have content and you're tackling different subject matter. And do you see that a lot for artists maybe your age, or are they trying to talk about social and political issues through their music, or is it more fluff, we'll say?
I wouldn't call it fluff, but
because people need love still.
Yeah,
right?
people. But I'm not. So far I haven't come across a lot of contemporaries that are doing similar stuff. Sure. Maybe they do an odd cover that's kind of inspired in those directions, or like the odd song here and there. But yeah, this album for me was definitely, that was a big part of it. Just dealing with COVID too. Like I wasn't doing anything, so it was really hard to be inspired by my own life because I was just locked in my bedroom the whole time. But I was paying attention to what was going on, and that kind of seeped in, I guess, and that's what happened. Yeah.
So during COVID, you felt like you were more, I guess, productive or less productive, I guess, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, kind of both.
Okay.
I definitely became a better guitar player because I was just kind of sitting around noodling all the time.
Right. You had
time, probably a worse singer because I wasn't singing as much or talking even as much.
That's right, yeah.
So yeah, I didn't write as much as I feel like I maybe should have for having nothing on. Right. But yeah, doing nothing isn't very inspiring. So
no, it's not. That's right.
I don't know. It was always that sort of struggle of like, I should be doing more, but what's the point of doing more?
Well, I guess it was hard to say, right? Because no one knew how this was going to play out.
Yeah.
Would we have a vaccine? Would we all die? Would we be shut down forever? Like no one kind of really knew, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like we're finally getting through the thick of it all, and things are starting to return back to normal. It seems.
Yeah, and I am grateful. This album's actually been done for like a while, and I've just kind of been waiting for the opportunity to play some shows and do share it that way, because really I love recording, but it's not the same as getting out there and playing.
Well, I mean, with an audience, there's an immediate feedback.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? They either love you or they tell you that you suck right away,
right? Yeah.
So when you recorded the album, this was again self-produced, or
self-produced, and it's mostly just me in our family cottage that I kind of Led Zeppelin forward it and converted it into a studio.
Oh, great!
Awesome. Don't tell my grandma.
Okay. All right. Well,
no, she knew I was there. She just didn't know that I moved the furniture. So I think I played everything except for the keyboard parts, which my dad did.
Okay.
Yeah. And just kind of one part at a time, plugging away.
Right.
Staying true to the click track as best I could.
Okay. And that's what I was about to ask. Was that your guide? I guess you had a click track. You kind of knew where you were.
Yeah. And then lay down what I'm confident in first, and then sort of went from there. And there are some edits.
Of course. There's always edits. Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun to just pick up a bass here and there, sit down to the drum kit, and just pretend like I can play more instruments than I can.
There you go. And how many instruments do you play?
Professionally, guitar.
Okay.
And singing. I'm getting there on the bass.
Okay.
like the neck is the same. It's just the weird difference of doing this to strumming.
Right. It's a different.
So my timing was a little iffy in places, but this record I felt a lot more comfortable with that. Okay. And then drums, I know how to hit them.
Right.
And then it's just a matter of going back and moving those hits where they should have been in time. Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, with COVID too, I couldn't afford to hire anybody, and also nobody could come over.
No one could come over. I know.
I had to do it.
But it's good to see musicians kind of adapted when COVID happened.
Yeah.
Like yourself, you kind of set up your own studio.
Yeah.
And were able to track everything. Even with ourselves, we shot a bunch of like space videos. This is a prop.
Oh, cool.
We built like this green screen behind you on that wall, and we kind of shot these videos for these music videos for like the space related themes. So
cool.
But we didn't know how to do any of that. We didn't even know how to do green screen, so we kind of learned and watched some videos on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I find interesting about the internet, because when I grew up, again, we didn't have access to information. Like if I wanted to learn how to do something, I had to go to the library and read a book on it.
Yeah.
Versus watching a YouTube video where a guy shows you how to set up a microphone or do whatever, right?
Yeah, and that was invaluable to just like Google like, oh crap, how do I mic a drum kit?
There you go. That's
and
right.
then there's a video showing me how to do it and what cheap mics are good. Like
exactly.
Like it's awesome.
Whereas in the old days, that would take you a week.
Yeah,
you have to go read various books. You'd have to go talk to a guy down at the music store studio. And then you get a consensus of information. Then finally you do something.
Yeah,
maybe if you weren't overwhelmed by all the information. So what we're using as in terms of software?
Pro Tools.
Pro Tools, okay.
Yeah, and then a lot of the like analog emulating plugins from Waves and Slate.
Okay,
to get like nice, just like my first album around, I just used what I had less budget actually my first time around, so I just used what was there. But this time I really kind of like did some research into what I'm using and what it actually does and what it actually means, kind of thing. Because I had the time.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
And so I probably spent a little too much money on plugins, but I didn't know for the longest time that I was spending American dollars on them. I thought like it's only $20, it's fine. And then I like checked my like e-statement. I was like, it was American the whole time.
Yeah.
So that was fun, but I really enjoyed actually making it and mixing it and just really living in that space for a little while. It really kind of got me through the nothing of COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
It kept your sort of mind busy. Your hands busy as well.
Yeah.
And do you foresee yourself in the future producing other artists eventually?
I would love to. I'm working on actually my dad's solo. He's written some songs in COVID and we've been recording some of them too. And it's pretty cool. He's a keyboard player, so modulations and key changes and rhythm changes are easier for him when all the notes are laid out for
That's
you.
right. Yeah, I know
so,
exactly.
So his stuff is really cool, and I've been playing on it and producing it and arranging it, and that's been a lot of fun.
That's great.
But I'd love to produce with more artists. I love just like making a song as good as it can be, kind of.
Right.
And yeah.
And then even starting a label one day, or are we thinking too big now?
Maybe one day. That'd be fun. Yeah, as long as somebody handles the business side of things for me.
Well, that's why I have Laura here, who handles all the business stuff, who also produces the show. Thank you. No, that's great. It's good to sort of keep busy and kind of keep the mind always going. Especially I find with artists and sort of creative people, because I find if they don't get to do the thing that they want to do, then they get weird, or they go depressed, or some other sort of issue, ends up in their life.
Yeah.
But that's great. So from producing to possibly owning a label, and once COVID is done, I guess you're going to hit the road full force with the trio?
Hopefully. Depends on what's booking, really. Like, it's not as easy to find those venues these days. Like, we had... Like, I'm so thankful to have found Lee's Palace eventually, but it was a bit of a mad dash to find a Toronto launch venue. All the ones that I knew from the past were either closed or moved on or busy So I don't know how much. Like, the road is the goal, but just getting there is
just getting there.
How,
right.
Yeah, I kind of have to navigate this post-COVID world a little bit.
Because there's been a lot of venues. I mean, I can't say with the rest of Canada, but just in Toronto alone that have closed.
Yeah.
Even before COVID.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was a lot of venues that were just closing down. They couldn't make a go of it. They had financial troubles. But yet I keep reading articles saying that there's a resurgence of audiences going to see live music again.
Yeah.
So what's the disconnect here? Because I keep seeing venues close, but an article is telling me people love live music.
Yeah.
So are they just not connecting those two?
I'm not sure, because
Right.
I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I'm reading those articles and how, like, the sort of like middle class musician, if that even exists anymore, it will, like, after COVID, that will be the industry. Like, because people will want those intimate sized, like 152 or less venues, and just those kind of nice nights out.
Right.
But then when I go to do them, it's like pulling teeth to get people to come out, and I don't know what that is all about, really.
Yeah, it's like, what do you people want?
Yeah, like we're allowed. Like,
That's right.
Look, let's do it.
Yeah, and I noticed again, just from reading, there's different festivals too and events across Canada have also been struggling financially with getting people in the door. Again, not just because of COVID. This was happening even pre-COVID. Even just trying to sell tickets to go to the events. So, is the new generation of people again? Article says that they love going to see live shows, but I don't see that happening. So I'm not sure what the.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I hope so. I know that my audience actually isn't really my own age. It's a little bit older.
Okay.
I think just because it's just the nature of my kind of genre and space that I'm in.
Right. That's right.
But I'm okay with that because they have more money than people.
That's true. No, exactly. So, that's right. Always go for the audience that has more money. So that's roughly what you're seeing is mostly older sort of.
Yeah. And that's like, I'm cool with that. I like it. I do try and get my friends to come out because, I like, they don't get me. Like, I'm not in university. I'm not like following a normal career, I guess. And they're just like, well, what do you do all day? And I'm like, I actually do a lot of work, but.
No, there's lots of work.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There totally is. Yeah. There really is. Yeah.
Yeah. But they don't. It's nice when they do come out and they're like, oh yeah, you're not just like sleeping in all day and like doing nothing. Like,
that's right. The typical sort of stereotypical musician, I think, gets that. You sleep until noon or you party all night.
Yeah. And I mean, I do sleep in a fair bit, to be fair, but that was more of a COVID thing.
Right. Yeah. I don't sleep in at all. I go to bed like by 9:00 usually. That's what happens when you get older. That's why all the shows I do now have to be done by 10:00. Otherwise, I'll fall asleep. So you were also on CBC Searchlights, that part of that competition.
Yeah, in 2019.
Well, right?
That was pretty cool. That was...
Right. And you made it to the top 100
grades. Thanks to everybody sharing and voting for me every day. That was crazy. Like, we had... Like, I've never felt more like quote unquote famous than that week, because people were sharing it. Like, my Facebook posts were getting like tens of thousands of clicks, and I was like, I didn't even know a number that high could exist. Like, it was crazy. And like, I actually got out of a speeding ticket because of that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was, I guess, feeling this song I was listening to when I was driving a little bit too much, and I got pulled over, and I'd never been pulled over before, and I had no idea what to do. So he comes over and he's like, license and registration, and I didn't know what registration was, so I handed him my license and I was like, I'm gonna look in the glove compartment, like, I know what I'm doing. And then it was winter, so I was wearing like a hat and coat and everything. And then he reads my license and he's like, oh, like, you're the guy who's doing the louder thing in the Searchlight. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I've been voting for you. No way, man. And he let me go with like a warning. And
that's awesome.
I was feeling, I was like, I can retire now. Like, that's...
Well, there you go. That's some of the perks, I guess, to being a musician.
Yeah.
And that was in your area?
Yeah, I don't think that would fly anywhere but a small town.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's great. And that was 2019 that happened?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And you're looking to enter more of these things, or you feel like the next step of your career is to focus more on releases and touring rather than sort of these sort of contests? Or?
Yeah, probably. I don't always love the idea of making music competitive.
Right.
I just kind of feel like there's enough like taste and room out there that we can all be successful.
Right.
And it just sort of puts you in not a toxic headspace, but not the right headspace that I want to exist in anyways.
Right.
So I do a competition here or there, usually on a whim, and if it's free.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And I have met like a lot of great people through that too. There was one for when I was a little bit younger, the Youth Discoveries of Summerfolk, the big festival in Owen Sound, that I've met friends that I still jam and hang out with, and hopefully we'll do more shows with to this day. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like just playing anything that'll get me playing live is what is where I want to be right now. Just after the kind of year and a bit of nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right, because normally during that time you would have played a bunch of shows and done whatever musicians do.
Yeah, exactly.
Even I don't know. Like it's been so long since we played a show. It's like, what are we supposed to do? What do we do? Shows again?
Yeah.
That's great. So you're going to do a song for us in a little bit. Maybe tell us a little bit more about the song that you're going to play.
Yeah, so I think it was the first one I wrote for this album, and I was just out at my cottage studio space, and I was literally on my way home just humming to myself, and then I kind of stumbled upon the melody and the lyrics, and I was like, oh God, I gotta go back and lay this down. And yeah, it's just the rest of the album is really big, and like with layers of guitars and synths and pads and drums and everything, and this is just sort of the quiet pensive moment. It's just me and a guitar, an acoustic guitar, and it's just a little like introspective number on what it's like to kind of think about the world that we're inheriting, kind of.
Right. And how many songs on the new recording coming out again? 8 songs. Okay. Yeah. And all recorded in your space.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. And then when usually you sit down to write a song, you have a process in that, or every song is sort of different depending on, say you had a riff that you came up with, or like you just say you just had an idea for a song and you had to drive back and kind of.
They're all super different.
Different.
Sometimes it just I just kind of barf it out of me, and it's just like I'm just noodling away, and then all of a sudden, there's a song, and then but yeah, there's no real process. I think I'd probably. Sometimes I wish there was a little bit more of a process when I have an idea that I'm like, this would be great if I could flesh this out into a song.
Right.
But I haven't really found that ability yet. That it's all just happens organically and randomly, really.
And do you find yourself going back to edit yourself afterwards, or when you write the song, that's pretty much the way it stays until it gets to the album?
Yeah, usually it stays that way unless there's I wake up the next morning and find a lyric and think, that wasn't very good.
Right. Cause sometimes that happens. The next morning you wake up, you know, what's that called? Sober second thought. And it's like, what? That's a terrible idea.
So that does happen. So I usually just have a bunch of songs written that I just am like, that's just in recycling, basically. And then I might grab a riff from it or a hook from it and repurpose it. But it's a very chaotic process. And
that's right.
Those that live with me don't care for it.
Well, the whole process of creating art is chaotic. It seems you're creating something out of nothing, essentially, and making that into something that people can enjoy and hopefully purchase. And speaking of purchase, how can people find you online, and how can they support you?
So just follow on social media at Josh Ritchie Music on Facebook and Instagram, and TikTok is the new one that
TikTok. I still have yet to get on TikTok. Don't worry, I'm not going to get on TikTok.
I don't get it. I was told to do it, and I have people that are good at it that like to do it for me. So. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I just have to be silly in videos, which I'm okay with, but I don't. It's social media is kind of new to me.
Okay.
But follow me on there, and I'll try and be interesting for you on social media. And that's just where I do updates about shows and releases the most. And then on Spotify and Apple Music and all the streaming services, you can find my previous releases and my upcoming release on there.
Okay.
And then I have a website too, which you can get tickets for the upcoming launch shows at Heartwood and Lee's Palace. Okay. And
Great. And you can buy merchandise from there? You have merch as well?
You can buy CDs. If you want a CD, you can email me through the website and I'll get it out to you somehow.
Fantastic. And then the shows coming up before we go to your live music set. Shows at Lee's Palace. That is on the
October the 8th.
October the 8th.
Yeah, at 8.
Great. And then in Owen Sound, that will be
right on the 30th.
Right on the 30th
at 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. We'll be sure to check it out. We'll post everything on the links below.
Cool.
And then we'll switch over now to the live set.
Awesome.
I gave you the world, would you whisper in my ear? Would you tell me all your secrets, even the hardest ones to hear? If I gave you the world, would you melt down all the guns? We wouldn't ever need to fire them. We wouldn't ever need to run. If I gave you the world, would you ever tell a lie? Would you ever need their comfort? Would you ever need to hide? If you gave me the world, I would banish creed and color. The only law is for each other. If you gave me the world, if I gave you the world, would you ever stop and smile? Would you fall asleep to laughter? Would you stop and stay a while? If I gave you the world, if I gave you the world, if I gave you the world,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being on the show. And I encourage everyone to go check out Josh live. And we'll post the links on the website later and on the Facebook group. Thank you again for being a part of the show.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
All right.
Great.